Hi everybody, welcome to another art journal tutorial. Today we're going to take circles that I cut from a masterboard and create an art journal page around it. Here's the masterboard, and I'll put a link to the video where you can go and see how I made this background. Here are 3 other projects that I did using the same masterboard background. So let's use these circles. I'm working in my Canson Mixed Media 7x10 art journal page. I've gessoed the page, and I'm going to use this flamingo napkin from NinnysNapkins. I've rough cut 2 of the flamingos, and I'm going to try to remove the 2 excess plies. I just put a little glue on my finger to get it tacky, and then it's just easy to get the excess plies off. I'm not sure what orientation I'm going to use, so I'm going to glue both of these flamingos, the one looking left and the one looking right, to some copy paper. And once it's dry, I'm going to cut them out. It's a lot easier to cut out the napkin focal images after you've adhered it to a background piece. So here I'm just simply cutting out the flamingo. You can do a whole lot of focal images from napkins and cut them out and have them at the ready. And the one that I don't use on this page, it's just going back in my stash. Now the circles that I cut from the masterboard are going to serve as, in addition to the focal image, they're going to give weight to the focal image and support it. Now I'm going to play with the composition of my page. And I spend a lot of time looking at it. I figured I'm going to use the quote, "Life is all about balance." And because I have the circles, I'm going to cut this out in a circle. I've put my font, I typed the word off, and I chose to have a black background with white letters. But I'm also going to cut out the one with white with black letters and be able to addition both of them. Whatever I don't use here will go in my stash. I've got my white bins that I just put any excess into. So I'm just moving it around, playing with the composition. Really, there is no right or wrong. It's whatever you like. And as you can see, options are many. And I really like the black background for the circle. Now, if you can't print out your sentiment on black, what you can do is paint a circle black and do your own words on it. So once you have a composition that you like, take a picture of it. You think you'll remember, but you don't. Now, for the background of this page, I thought I'd go neutral, like on that napkin. I want the circles to stand out. I want the flamingo to stand out, but I do want to have some interest. So I'm using unbleached titanium and white gesso, and I'm just spreading this with a makeup sponge. I'm not worried about making it perfectly smooth. All that just adds extra interest to your background. And then I'm going to take this scattered leaves, scattered branches, stencil and remove the gesso or remove the paint through the stencil. Now you see that it has blue acrylic paint on it, dried. Well, some of that is reactivating and it's smearing onto the background. I don't mind that, so I just decided to leave it. Now, if you didn't like it, I said two things: either clean your stencils, or B, just I would apply another layer of gesso and get rid of that. But I didn't mind the blue. Now I'm looking at my picture, setting up the composition, trying it out. I'm not really happy with the background. It's too flat looking. There's not enough interest in it. So I grabbed some gold and the quinacridone and magenta, and I'm mixing that on my palette on the side. And I'm going to grab this dot stamp from Stampendous, which I used in the Masterboard, and I'm stamping some of that flamingo color into the background. So it's matching the dots that are already there on the Masterboard circles, and it's matching the color of the flamingo. You want all the components to work together. I'm giving this a slight wash with that same color just to tone it and make it look more like the color of the flamingo. Remember, the Masterboard is just the first step. You don't have to use it just as it is. You can always add to it if you need to for when you're actually creating a project with it. I'm shading or edging around the circles with black acrylic paint. This is going to make the circles, give them a little bit of weight and make them stand out against the background. If you're practicing this shading technique, shading circles is a great place to start. It's really easy. You don't have any corners to work around, and you can perfect the shading technique. The background was a little too cool and I wanted to warm it up, so I'm giving it a wash with Naples yellow. And that did warm it up a little bit. It's just making everything work a little bit better together in my mind. I want to add some more interest, so I grab yellow oxide, which is a darker shade of Naples yellow, and I'm using this Art Is stencil to get some script into the background. So I apologize that I'm off the viewing area. I like the detailing that adds. So back, let's set this up. Just getting everything positioned in the correct place. And I'm thinking, okay, which one do I have to glue down first? Because it does matter in this case. I like how the beak of the flamingo goes on that black circle. I'm just going to cut off, get that straight edge there, and just position this black circle because it will be the first one that I'm going to glue down. Keeping it in place, I'm just going to put some fluid vat medium underneath and on top and glue that down. Now, the circle that the flamingo, that's behind the flamingo, has to be glued down before the flamingo. So I'm finding out where it is and I'm gluing it down. Now, these circles are a little bit thicker, and here I use fluid matte medium, but I do flip to using gel medium, which I find works better for to glue down thicker items. The gel medium that I use is the TCW Crafters Workshop brand. I love using circles in this way on an art journal page to give weight or to set off the focal image, add another design element. And so if you've got collage papers or full on masterboards, if you cut them into circles, this is one way that you can use them. Now I'm shading around the circles on the background. I shaded on the circle, but now I want to shade around it. This is going to set off the focal image elements from the background. And then I'm shading on the flamingo as well. I want it to stand out. I'm just following the lines that were already there and just adding a little bit more depth of color. Napkins are a great source of good-sized focal images. I either create on a 7 by 10 page or on a 9 by 12. And the sizes of the napkins, the focal images of the napkins really work. And I get all my napkins from NinnysNapkins.com. There is a link in the description box below and a coupon code. But just be warned, she carries a lot more than napkins. She carries a lot of art journaling supplies, stencils, paints, markers, stamps. And if there's something there that you want that she doesn't carry, just send her an email. She's great at bringing things in. Just edging the page here with black again. Then I'm grabbing some of the quinacridone magenta, mixing it with Naples yellow and the orange, and giving a wash of color to the flamingo. Now, by rights, I should have done this before I did the shading. So I touch up the shading a little bit, but I just wanted it a little bit deeper color because it is the focal image. It's just me tweaking it and adding some highlights in here as well. This makes it look a little bit more painterly and a little less like we just glued down a napkin. Then I'm splattering with black paint. My preferred splatter brush, my other fan brush, broke, so I haven't quite found a good substitute for it yet. Decided to add some line work to the circles with white, and I really like how this adds to the page. Lightens it up, just one more little detail. The white really works well with the white of the lettering in the sentiment. I go around all the circles as well as around the page. The shading that I did with the black makes it so that the line work that I'm doing now really stands out. The two things work really well together. And then a little bit of highlights with the Posca pen. And there we have the finished page. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you cut out some circles and give something like this a try. You can alter the colors, alter the focal image. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, go get creative.